Sales Analytics, AI-driven insights for B2B, turning sales data into next actions. If your team feels like you're swimming in dashboards, but still guessing who to call next, you're in the majority. AI-driven sales analytics has become the baseline in B2B, with 89% of revenue organizations now using AI-powered sales tools. The gap is no longer access to data. It's turning that data into daily, repeatable decisions that create pipeline. That gap shows up in leadership sentiment. 84% of sales leaders say analytics has had less influence on performance than expected, usually because of data quality issues, privacy concerns, and misalignment across teams. When analytics lives in a dashboard instead of inside your SDR and AE workflows, reps default back to intuition and what worked last quarter. The result is activity that looks busy but doesn't reliably convert. In this guide, we'll focus on practical B2B outcomes, smarter prioritization, better forecasting, faster learning loops in Outbound, and coaching that actually changes behavior. We'll also connect these ideas to what we see every day as a B2B sales agency and sales development agency running outsourced sales team programs. Because analytics only matters when it shows up in cold email, calling blocks, pipeline reviews, and coaching. What AI-driven sales analytics really means in 2025. Traditional sales analytics is mostly descriptive. It tells you what happened. AI-driven sales analytics adds predictive signals, what's likely to happen, prescriptive guidance, what to do next, and increasingly, generative support, what to say and how to tailor it. The best teams treat analytics as a decision engine, not a reporting layer. This matters because the performance gap is widening. B2B teams already leveraging AI are 7x more likely to meet or exceed organizational goals than teams not using it. And high-performing sales teams are 4.9x more likely to use AI than underperformers. In other words, AI adoption is common, but effective operationalization is what separates the leaders from everyone else. The upside is real when execution is disciplined. McKinsey reports 3 to 15% revenue uplift and 10 to 20% higher sales ROI for companies investing in AI for marketing and sales. And other research shows a 6 to 10% revenue increase when AI is integrated into sales functions. Your goal isn't more AI, it's a repeatable system that improves win rates, cycle time, and rep productivity without eroding trust or compliance. Start with decisions. Build a revenue decision engine. Before you buy another tool, write down the 5 to 7 decisions that most impact revenue. Examples include which accounts SDRs work first, how fast inbound leads get contacted, which opportunities managers inspect weekly, and where you add headcount by segment. Once the decisions are clear, you can define thresholds and SLAs. For example, score breakered 80 gets follow-up within 2 hours that make analytics actionable. This approach prevents a common failure mode, measuring everything and prioritizing nothing. Vanity metrics like opens, dials, and activities are fine for diagnostics, but they're not outcomes. Anchor analytics to revenue-centric metrics: meetings booked, meeting to opportunity, win rate, cycle length, and forecast accuracy. Then, use AI signals to influence those numbers in the workflow. A simple way to keep your program focused is to map each decision to an input signal and a specific action your team will take. The table below is the format we recommend using in an analytics to action document, so every report has an owner and a behavior change tied to it. Data foundations and workflow wiring, where most teams lose. The most expensive mistake we see is buying AI tools before fixing data hygiene. If your CRM has duplicates, missing ICP fields, stale titles, and inconsistent activity logging, your models will produce confident nonsense. Reps will lose trust, and adoption will collapse. Start with a data quality and coverage audit on core objects, accounts, contacts, opportunities, and activities, and set measurable targets like 90% of active opportunities have a decision maker identified. Next, centralize ownership of definitions and integrity. Ideally through a small RevOps/analytics pod, even if it's fractional. Fast-growing teams don't let every manager reinvent pipeline stages, score definitions, and attribution logic. This is also where you establish governance. What data is allowed in third-party tools, how PII is handled, retention policies, and what AI can generate versus what must be human-reviewed. Finally, wire insights into the systems reps already live in. Predictive scores should route, prioritize, and enroll leads into cadences inside your engagement platform. Forecasting signals should show up inside pipeline reviews, not in a separate BI portal. And coaching insights should be attached to call recordings and playbooks. When analytics sits outside workflow, it gets ignored, especially in high-velocity outbound motions run by a cold email agency, cold calling agency, or any outbound sales agency. Analytics only works when it changes who your reps contact, how they contact them, and what they say every single week. Lead scoring and forecasting that reps actually use. If you implement one AI use case first, make it predictive lead scoring tied directly to rep behavior. About 60% of B2B teams use AI for lead scoring, and those programs are associated with 50% more qualified leads and 30% better forecast accuracy when the scores are operationalized. The key is not the score itself. It's what the score triggers in routing, sequences, and speed to lead. To avoid the black box problem, build explainability into the UI and manager coaching. Reps should see why a lead is hot, fit, intent, recent activity, tech stack, buying role. And managers should reference those drivers in one-on-ones so the system becomes credible. When we run list-building services and outbound programs at SalesHive, we've found that transparency is the fastest path to adoption because it reduces the temptation to override the model with gut feel. Forecasting is the second major win, but only when sales leadership co-owns it. 75% of sales teams report improved forecasting accuracy when using AI tools. Yet many teams still treat forecast calls as a debate instead of an inspection process. Make it concrete. Risk flags should trigger deal plans, new stakeholders, next step dates, mutual action plans, and changes to commit should be tied to specific leading indicators, not hope. Outbound optimization. Turn cold email and calls into a learning system. AI becomes most powerful in outbound when you instrument outcomes, not activity. Instead of optimizing for opens and dials, track positive replies, meetings booked, and opportunity creation by segment, template, and step. This is where a strong SDR agency or B2B sales outsourcing partner can outperform internal teams. When your cadence analytics and experimentation cadence are disciplined, messaging evolves weekly without burning rep time. Operationally, this looks like tight feedback loops inside your sales engagement platform. High-fit leads should automatically flow into more aggressive multi-touch cadences, warm leads into lighter nurture, and low-fit leads into marketing, so reps spend their best hours on the highest probability accounts. If you're evaluating cold calling services or B2B cold calling services, ask whether they can show outcome analytics by persona and talk track, not just activity volume. At SalesHive, we've booked over 100,000 plus meetings for 1,500 plus clients since 2016 by treating outbound like an optimization engine, not a grind. That means combining targeting, firmographics, technographics, intent, message variants, and channel mix, then holding ourselves accountable to meetings and pipeline, not vanity metrics. Whether you run this in-house or with an outsourced sales team, the principle is the same. Measure what you want more of. Conversation intelligence, coaching that scales beyond your best rep. Conversation intelligence is often misunderstood as call recording plus talk time stats, but the real value is pattern detection at scale. AI can surface which openers, discovery questions, objection responses, and next step phrasing correlate with meetings booked and deals won across hundreds or thousands of calls. When you turn those patterns into scripts, templates, and onboarding, you stop relying on tribal knowledge and start building repeatability. This is also how you avoid focusing only on lagging indicators. Revenue and bookings tell you what happened after it's too late to fix this quarter. Conversation analytics give you leading indicators like objection frequency, competitor mentions, sentiment shifts, and no next step scheduled rates. Review these weekly, then adjust talk tracks, qualification criteria, and sequence positioning before a missed month becomes a missed quarter. If you want reps to actually use these insights, managers must coach from them in the same tools reps use. Pull specific clips, tie them to a single improvement focus, and measure change in meeting conversion over the next 30 to 60 days. That's how a cold calling team becomes consistently better, not just louder, and why the best cold calling companies treat coaching as an analytics program, not a motivational speech. A practical 90 to 180-day rollout plan, and what we do next. For most B2B teams, the fastest path to impact is a scoped pilot with clean measurement. Pick one segment or region, baseline today's metrics, and run lead scoring or outbound optimization with a control group so you can quantify lift in meetings, pipeline created, and speed to first touch. In well-run programs, you should see directional movement within 30 to 60 days and statistically meaningful results in 90 to 180 days, assuming adoption is real. Make analytics to action a leadership habit, not a quarterly project. Once a month, have sales and RevOps agree on 2 to 3 experiments, ICP tweaks, new sequences, new call openers, routing changes. Assign owners and define success metrics before you run them. This is also where you keep guardrails sharp, privacy policies, consent rules, what AI can draft, and what humans must approve. So efficiency doesn't come at the cost of trust. If you're considering sales outsourcing, pay-per-appointment lead generation, or an outbound partner to accelerate results, the question to ask is simple. Can they show a closed-loop system from targeting to messaging to conversion with transparent reporting? At SalesHive, our goal is to make AI-driven execution practical, so your team gets a repeatable pipeline engine without building every piece from scratch, and you still retain visibility into the metrics that move revenue.